Hi, everybody. It's Jody Franklin. I am so thrilled today because we have JJ Virgin joining us today. For those of you who don't know JJ, and I'm sure most of you do, she is a triple board certified nutrition expert, a fitness Hall of Famer, as evidenced by those arms that I'm so jealous of. Amazing. JJ has launched 3 multi-million-dollar businesses, including a 7-figure personal brand. She's a 3-time Inc. 5000 founder. She's an authority on transformational leadership. She's coached some of the biggest names in health and transformed the lives of millions of people around the world. She's also founded the Mindshare Collaborative. That's the most influential professional community in health, really. And she has propelled more New York Times bestsellers, PBS specials, and 7-figure brands than any other community. JJ has made many TV appearances. She's co-hosted TLC's Freaky Eaters. She's been a nutritionist for weight loss challenges on Dr. Phil. She's made numerous appearances on PBS, Dr. Oz, Rachel Ray, Access Hollywood, and the Today Show. And now she's here with us. You would add that to the repertoire. And JJ is the author of 4 New York Times best-selling books: The Virgin Diet, The Virgin Diet Cookbook, JJ's Virgin's Sugar Impact Diet, and JJ Virgin's Sugar Impact Diet Cookbook. So JJ, thank you so much for joining us. Such an honor to have you here today.
Yay, super fun. And I would love to see in chat, like, first of all, like my favorite question of all came right at the gate. Like, thank you, Stephanie, but love to hear who's here and what kind of practitioner you are, because it'll help me kind of frame what we're talking about.
Sounds great. So if you're watching on Facebook, definitely type in the comments. Terry will try to bring them up to us. And if you're joining us here on Zoom, go ahead and type your questions in. There's already some up here. But while people are typing in their questions, JJ, can you just give us a little background of how you got started? Were you just like me when you got started? Or how did, like many of us trying to build a practice?
Oh my gosh. Well, I mean, I was probably, I just turned 60. And by the way, Jody, this is super awesome. Turns out that there's a great study that shows that if you are fired up and excited about aging, you have like a 7.5-year addition to your lifespan. So I was like, I got completely fired up about the whole thing.
That's awesome.
So I go, I can control that. So I say that because, when I started way back in the dark ages, pre-Facebook, pre-social media, when you had to actually go places and talk to people in person, I was paying my way through college in grad school and doctoral school, and first teaching aerobics. And then someone asked me to come to their house and teach them aerobics there. And voila, I became a personal trainer. There were none. There was not even a name for it. It was me, Body by Jake, and Mark Sisson. A couple weird things happened. Number one, so I did not know. I remember sitting in a nail salon, a very shishi place in LA, Brentwood, and someone asked me how much I charged. And I had no idea how much I charged because I'd just been training a couple of my friends for free. So I said $35 an hour and held my breath. And they said, okay, when can you come over? And I thought, crap, I didn't charge enough. And so the next time someone asked, it was 45, right? But when I started, I just had people pay as they went. Well, I was doing nutrition and fitness. And, quite often, if you're doing nutrition and fitness, if you have someone on a Friday morning and they went out on a Thursday night and they're not in a package deal and they can cancel, they do, right? So I learned pretty quickly that if you have people pay as you go, they go. I also learned pretty quickly that I had a very finite amount of time. And between grad school and personal training, I had no life. That was all I was doing. So one of the things I looked at was Body by Jake. And what drove me crazy was here I was in graduate school and then doctoral school, and Body by Jake and his brother were literally, like, as far as I could tell, they went to high school. They were charging twice as much as me for half the time. He had other people working for him. And I'm like, what the heck is that? Like, I, with all of my experience and education, should be making far more than him, but I wasn't. And I went, you know what? Number one, I need to learn marketing. And number two, I need to package this differently because I shouldn't be paying as they go and having them go, right? And having them. And I also recognized, here I was doing nutrition and fitness. Seeing someone one time is not has zero impact. I needed a commitment. And so that's when I started to package into programs, and a couple cool situations happened when I did that. Number one, when you package into programs, you get the commitment. I don't know how to help someone without them being committed in any way in life, right? And how do we commit? We commit with two things. We commit with our time and we commit with our wallet. Has anyone here, and I'd love to see in chat, ever done a favor for someone where they helped them for free? And has that worked for you? Because it never works, right? It never works. And I have to learn that lesson over and over and over again, because we're all healers. We want to help. If you really want to help someone, ideally you charge them slightly more than what they can afford, because the more they pay attention. It's all of us, me too. So the other thing I started to recognize is that I was repeating myself a lot, not just to different people, but to the same person. Thinking, oh, I already told you this. How come you don't remember it? So as I started to package in programs, I also started to, and again, back then it was like, okay, first it had to be handouts. And then finally I could start to record things online. And then, wow, there were these things online. I don't know if you remember these, Jody. They were called Ning forums. This was pre-Facebook and everything else. We actually could record things and have little forums online. And what I discovered, and then I discovered I could do some of this coaching in a group. I could move from one to few. Thinking, I always thought, oh, they're not going to get as good of results. What I found was they were supporting each other and getting even better results. But more importantly, I was not trading time for money anymore, and that made such a difference. Now, when I started, it was interesting because there were no personal trainers. So first, it's an interesting situation to be like that. And also, when I started doing fitness and nutrition, the nutrition field was really dietitians, a lot of times working in hospitals. In fitness, like gyms were just starting. And so like, I remember when I first started taking people on field trips to Gold's Gym in Venice, it was a novel thing. Now they have like 1,000 trainers there and they charge them to be in there. Like back then it was like, come on in, so at the beginning, we basically had to create an industry. It didn't exist. In a way that's amazing. It's blue ocean, but on the other side, no one knew what the heck we were, right? So you're doing both sides of it. Now, my biggest focus back then, and it was interesting back then, now, like, I feel like for the first time ever, exercise physiologists are like having their day. But back then it was all considered vanity. Like someone worked out, they worked out to look better. Never mind all the myriad of health benefits. Like if you look at one thing in aging that can change everything, it is exercise, right? But back then it was like, oh, you just want to look better. It was vanity. And everyone was coming to me for weight loss. So here I was working in weight loss, and I was competing against Jenny Craig, Weight Watchers, and me. Now, I didn't have that ad budget. I didn't have that. I had really good word of mouth, but at some point you kind of go, how can I stand out in this crowded seat? And so one of the things I started to look at is, well, what's my niche in weight loss? Now, when I was on Dr. Phil, he had a chapter in his book called Weight Loss Resistance. And I got obsessed with this. And one of the cool things was what they were teaching the participants on Dr. Phil were absolutely not what I believe in. It was eat low fat, extreme low calories, 6 times a day. I mean, it was ridiculous. So I would just say to the contestants, you're weight loss resistant, so we have to do things a little differently. So I was having them do cortisol tests and like all sorts of different stuff, cutting down their exercise. But I started to do weight loss resistance. And I remember a coach told me at the time, so one of the biggest things I did to change my business and life was I got a business coach. Because prior to that, I was just going to all the conferences, doing, more certifications and working on my PhD. And then I went, I should probably get a business coach. And she says, no one knows what weight loss resistance is. And I'm like, well, sure they do. Turns out I sent out a little, started to ask people around me, and they never talked about it. They only talked about weight regain. So important message there. Use the language your people understand. If you want to teach them a whole new thing, like now weight loss resistance is a thing, but 20 years ago, I started a course for doctors called Overcoming Weight Loss Resistance. It's taken 20 years to get in the vernacular. One of the things that got me on the map was figuring out an area within weight loss resistance. And my agent actually helped me do this. She said, when you talk about that food allergy thing, and I'm like, it's not a food allergy. It's an intolerance, it's a sensitivity. She goes, that thing, apply that to weight. And I go, but that's only one piece. There's all these things. She goes, I don't care. Just keep it simple, apply that thing. And it's funny, the more I narrowed and focused on that, that is what took me from someone, working in my local area. I was known in my local area. I was making good money, but I didn't have the impact I knew I could make until I really just narrowed that niche. So I know I just threw a bunch at you. And one thing, Jody, that I do want to make sure everybody has today, as I'm talking about this, is I really thought about what's the process you have to go through in your business, and I say business very specifically, because I think, we tend to talk about having a practice, and I want you to think about a business, because a business means that you have to make profit, right? A business means that you have something that you could actually step out of, hopefully, and it could run itself. It could be self-managed. A business is something you could actually maybe scale or sell at some point, or even move into an empire. So I move off of practice because I see so many amazing practitioners. And I used to be the marketing and national sales director for Designs for Health way back when. Actually, I was the head of practice development. And what drove me nuts was seeing so many amazing practitioners, but they weren't having the impact they wanted. A lot of them were very successful in their practices, but they were stuck. And they couldn't figure out how to get to that next phase. And then I was contrasting that with being on TV every week with Dr. Phil and seeing these people come in who they would position as experts, as what I call trusted authorities on Dr. Phil, but they really weren't. Like I saw the experts. I knew what they were capable. I knew their clinical training, but I also knew that they were trapped. And I really have looked at this over the years going, how do we take these most brilliant people and help them build a business of their dreams, and what do you need to do that? What do you need to do to break out of that place? And I created this thing called the Health Business Ascension Model. I worked on it with our Mindshare mentors, and then really looked at what's the first step? And the first step really comes to reframing the way that you practice into thinking about the problem you solve and the transformation you offer. And then starting to add in income streams to create time and money freedom. And always the joke is so that you can actually do the self-care you tell your patients to do, right? And so I do want to give something out to everybody, so you'll have this no matter what to refer back to. And it is the guide we created about how to add an income stream that will help you get something right away set up. And so you can get that. And I have let me see.
Actually, Terry just put it in the chat. So
okay,
you all
cool.
can grab that link there, and it'll be in the replay. It'll be in the Facebook, in the
Perfect.
Physicians Facebook group as well.
Perfect. Because, early on, and it's still it's so funny that someone was asking about how do you build a business without social media. And, early on, before all of this, here I am on Dr. Phil, and I had a website, but it didn't have that box where you put your name and email in, right? And I decided what I really needed to do was learn online marketing. And because I knew, I'd had a mentor early on in business, my first one at age 30, and she says, you leverage yourself through time, tool, and tech. And I thought, all right, I need to learn how to use online to support me. And I'm not a techie person at all, right? So, I got to figure this out. So I joined a group. And I started to going to these marketing events, and I was kind of straddling between going to things like A4M and IFM and IHS, and then going to these online marketing conferences. And at one of the online marketing conferences, they said, I said, how do I 10X my business? Because again, I gotten to a point, but this was pre-Virgin Diet where I really figured out how to do the food intolerance thing. And I was like, how do I get to the next level? How do I get there? And they said, 90% of your business should come from partners. And I thought, here I am at these marketing events, and there are no health people here. There might be 5 people in health with 500 people at a conference. I thought, what if I start inviting my friends that are at the other conferences and bring them over here? And that's literally how Mindshare happened. And they say that in marketing, like, you have a problem, you solve the problem. Like that's what a really good marketer does. And I had a problem. I was lonely over at the marketing things, the stuff they were teaching. While I knew it worked, generally, if it works in one thing, it'll work in another. I knew there were a lot of tweaks that we had to do with health. And I also knew that I couldn't collaborate with someone who was like selling, how to build an online course or how to do a shopping cart. Like that wasn't relevant. I needed someone who was going to talk about adrenal stress or gut health, right? So that I could collaborate with. And so it was kind of fun because we all started going to these events. One was called Brendan Burchard's Experts Academy. And so I started having little lunches at the events. And I remember one day walking to go to the place where we started to have lunch, where we were catering it. And we'd have, first time was like 12 people, and then there were 20. And now I go walking over to have the lunch, and I'm looking, and there's like all these people in the hallway, and there's a big line. And I'm like, who else is doing a lunch? I can't believe it. I reserved this place, blah, blah, blah. No, they were all health people that had gotten wind of this. And I'm like, whoa, where'd you come from, people? And so then we decided we were going to have an event after his event, and we'd all get together afterwards and talk about how to use that information and help each other, support each other, because it's lonely, And then we're like, we should just do our own event, right? And so that's really, I know, like we're talking about adding income streams. So one of the most important things you can do to be successful in business is be around people who are like you, can support you, and you can collaborate with. And that's where Mindshare came from, was us all being at these business events going, how can we support each other? How can I like build a course and have some of my friends in it? How can I, do podcasts and have great interviews? How can I write a book and have people, like when I launched the Virgin Diet, I did a collaborative cookbook with all of the people in Mindshare. It was fantastic, all through in recipes. Or how do I know what's really working right now? Because things are wacky out there in the world, and get some great new ideas. So literally Mindshare started like that. Lunches at an event that turned into its own event that is now really, like my best friends are all in there. I think everybody kind of feels the same. But like you said, because of the collaboration and the willingness to share. And I'll tell you, I think we need to do this with our patients and clients, and we need to live our life like this. And I learned this from my buddy, Marie Forleo, is kind of this repellent, polarizing marketing, where you really want to draw the right people to you, and you don't want to attract the people that shouldn't be your clients or shouldn't be your friends, right? I mean, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Anyway, I just yacked a lot. So
that's okay. And so that's really fascinating. So you start, so that where Mindshare was born, and now
yeah,
it's huge. I mean, it's
a thing.
the place to do.
It's you know what it is? It's I love this group so much, and it's been very carefully and consistently curated. It's a very interesting group because again, I wanted to attract the people who are genuine healers. Like they are doing this because they want to make a difference in the world. It's a mission-driven entrepreneur. Sure, those people out there, I want to make a lot of money, and what are the EPCs? Those really aren't our humans. And we teach people, I mean, we've helped so many people go to 7 figures and beyond. So when you build a business with high integrity in the right way, you can be hugely successful. When you just chase money, those are not our type of people. I'm sure there's places for them. Our people are big go-givers. They want to support each other. They come first with how can I help, which is just super duper cool. So yeah, it started just with this little group getting together. Then it would be like the event would end, and we have an event coming up in October, and you're going to be at it. So you'll see the event would end and people had like the most like sadness, they're like, ah. So that's when we then, started building our Facebook community, and people started getting together on their own and doing summits and docuseries. And literally, like, we have created through that organization. I was looking at it, Jody, because, I wanted to help 1 million people get healthy. And then I was on Dr. Phil for 2 years. And I was like, well, he had like a 13 million people reach or something, probably bigger. I was like, all right, so did that. What's next? Why don't we go for 1 billion? And you realize, well, you want to help 1 billion people get healthy, how about if you go get the smartest people, those people with like huge visions, huge dreams, but they're not quite sure how to get there, right? But they've come into this place because they know that they're here to make a difference and help them. And I think we're at about 400 million people now that we've helped, because if you start to look at the impact of people doing their podcasts, their summits, their docuseries, their books, right? Their social media stuff, their YouTube, their TED Talks, it's wild the level of impact that starts to happen. And then you bring it home to the type of impact, because, you know, we had someone whose mother's life was saved because they listened to someone's summit, and they got, it was someone in the group, and they said, oh, I heard you on the summit and I shared it with my mom. Like, it literally saved her life. And you're like, okay, like, you make a big dent in the universe, but the dent's also really personal. Like, when COVID hit, one of the doctors from Mindshare lived a couple blocks from my mom. And during Mindshare, and my mom's 93, she's very stubborn. I was like, you cannot go to the grocery store, Mom. You've got high blood pressure. You're staying home. And she was having none of it. And this one doctor went and took groceries to her every week. Like, so you have this big impact, and then you have this totally personal impact, which is so super cool. So yeah, it started as an event. The event attracts just an incredible group of people who are making big differences out in the world, and also building like really cool businesses and empires that have leverage in them now. And that's the biggest thing that I want to see. I want to see that, you've done all the hard work, you've done the clinical training, you've gotten the experience and education. And now, how do you put it out there in the world in a way that people can find you, that people will happily invest with you, that you'll be able to have income streams so that you can go on vacation and still make money, right? That used to kill me back when I was working, even one-on-one with programs, it still killed me, because I'd take time off and I'd spend money on vacation and I'd make no money. I was like, how do I start to have things where I have multiple streams of income, where I make money when I'm asleep? How do we do that? And, that money again signifies that I'm changing lives, because I'm not selling cars here. We're transforming health, right? So,
Right. Yeah.
so yeah, it started as an event, and the event is still the big foundation. Our one coming up in October. Every year we do one, and I'm like, how am I going to top that? And last year I got obsessed with bringing Dr. Joe Dispenza to Mindshare, because I really, I spent a year, I've now been working his meditations for 18 months, I think maybe almost 2 years. And I just decided he had to be at the summit. And they're like, he doesn't keynote. I go, I know he does not keynote, and I know he will be at the summit. So last year he was at the summit. And because I said, Dr. Joe, I have this vision that healthcare practitioners are going to take this work and they're going to integrate it with their work. And it's going to be this exponential, gives me chills impact. And they're the right ones to do it. And he was like, this is something he's wanted to do. I go, these are your people. They'll half of them love you and half of them don't know you, which is even better. Like, going into the warm soup's great, but going into a place where people are like, who is this person? Even better, right? So last year was Dr. Joe, and it was Marie Forleo. And I was like, how do I top this? And the event's cool because it's a combination of first of all, I think most of us are pretty introverted in the health field. I don't know if the health field just attracts introverts or if Mindshare attracts introverts. But what I've seen is we have a large majority of shy, introverted people. Maybe it's because I am, and so I attract it. So I literally built an event, and I built the event in a couple different ways. I built it as if I'm a shy introvert, but I really want to make some solid connections. I built it as a total extrovert, because we do have those people. I built it as someone who goes, I just want to get in there and I want to learn everything I possibly can. And then I got it for, I just want to go party and relax. So I literally just was like, okay, whatever your flavor is, this is going to be your perfect event. And so this year, what we're doing is you're coming in on a Thursday, we do bonus workshops. And those ones, it was funny, the first time we did bonus workshops, because the event was first it was a Saturday, Sunday, then it was a Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and people just started showing up on Thursday. So then we put a reception Thursday. Then I thought, let's do bonus workshops on Thursday. They said no one will come to them. There were people waiting outside the hallway. So it's like the event's been co-created by all the members. So Thursday afternoon, we do workshops. We're going to do one on how to create content with AI. So, which I have the guy who's doing it for Tony Robbins' whole like high level group and Peter Diamandis's group. And we're also have Sam Horn talking about like how to have the difficult conversations. She's amazing. And then we do our idea labs where we hot seat people and coach them. And we have panels. So we have a bunch of things to choose from. And I have people go through the health business ascension model. Again, you can get that in the guidebook to understand where you are in your business and which things you need the most. And you also can talk to one of our mentors ahead of time to go, what should I be paying attention to at the event to get the most out of the event? Because I always want people to walk out of it with a bigger vision, you know, even more inspired, because I think quite often when we see what's possible out there, like, well, okay, maybe I was playing too small. I thought I was playing big. It can be even bigger. Doesn't mean I'm gonna have to work harder for it, right? I just now know what's possible out there. And I also want them to walk out with at least 10 amazing connections. I mean, people that can be friends for life, but also they can collaborate with and get on podcasts, summits. We always have a bunch of people taping podcasts and docuseries at the event because there's so many people there. And then I also want them to walk out with 3 strategies that can basically bring them 6 figures. Like that's like, let's go. You know, we got to have that, right?
I
And
love that. I
so,
just want to say, JJ, it's like,
hmm,
this can be lonely work. I mean, we're people that
right?
are really on the fringe, right?
Mhm.
Be able to collaborate and meet people and stay in touch with them. I mean, I've met some of my best friends that way, really at events similar. And I
I
can,
know.
it's like magical. And we're like, they're like my besties, even
Right.
if
And
they
to
live,
also know what's
few hundred miles from here.
to learn what's working too,
Mhm.
and to see different ways to approach things. Like
Mhm.
one of the things we do is we have these special interest group tables at lunch, and they're different topics. Like one might be adrenal health, one might be menopause, one might be fitness, so that you can go to the table that is your niche. One of the things we teach people is to, figure out what problem you solve,
But
right? Your
wait, this
niche.
isn't clinical though. It's all business.
This is
Just
not a
so,
clinical conference.
right.
It's
Just to
this is
clarify.
it is all it is the place where you can now, because you have all, and this is for the person who's got their clinical.
Mhm.
They've done their training, they've done additional certifications, they've got all that, they've got the experience. They're already successful, but they're kind of stuck. Like they want to do a book, or they want to do a podcast, they want to do a course, or maybe they've done some of that, but it's not where it wants to be. Or maybe they're really successful in all of that and they go, all right, game on, let's go to the next level. Right. I mean, you look at the people who've been there and come every year, like Dr. Kellyanne Petrucci, when she came in, had a bunch of books. And I was like, all right, but she'd never really gotten them big out to where she wanted to be. When she came into Mindshare, that's when she did her New York Times bestseller and her public television show. Same with Alan Christensen. He had a successful clinic. But when he came in and he decided to really go after the thyroid niche, New York Times bestseller, now he lives in Minnesota. He's basically semi-retired and, having a blast. So yeah, I can give you story after story after story
Sure.
about that, right? Which are like, and that's so cool. Like what's cool about it is it's doing your best work, living your best life, and you don't have to sacrifice one for the other. And that's what's really important. You can have it all. We're doing something fun this year, Jody, too, that we did at our mastermind as a test, kind of as a fun game one night. And it was so cool that we're like, all right, this is what we're going to do. And we did our own version of Shark Tank. And it was so amazing that I went, you know what, I can get investors. So we actually have Tom Arts of Nutrition Business Journal and Summit is heading this all up, because he's gone and done this with like 1,000+ people. He is helping us. We're going to take 6 people, 5 and an alternate. They're going to have a business mentor to help them with their pitch deck. They're going to have Sam Horn help them with their pitch. So they're getting coached. And then they're going to be on stage in front of the investors who are ready to write a check. But I think what's amazing for the audience is they're going to learn, whether you ever want to get an investor or whether you want to set up your business to, sell your business, you still want to be thinking this way. And what everyone learned by doing this in the mastermind, I was like, this is the greatest business education ever and a ton of fun. So we're doing that this year that I'm super excited about. Do you know Lisa Nichols? Do you know who she is?
The name sounds familiar and I can't remember why. I think I may have seen her.
She is arguably, like, she's been my speaker coach. She's the best transformational speaker on the planet, but also the best coach of it. Like, you'll hear her speak and go, I could never do that, but she actually can teach you how to. So we always close off, like last year, Marie Forleo closed us. I always close with like the person that people go, I cannot leave. And then after we close the event, we all go up to the pool because we have the entire pool at the JW Marriott Camelback, the entire place taken over. And we do cabanas based on things like, oh, you want to do a summit, you want to be in podcast, you want to do a book, so that people can look at that. Because again, it's not clinical. It is now you've got the clinical. Now what, right? It's the things that I was searching for forever, piecemealing from different business conferences, trying to apply it to health, where you have everybody here in one place actually doing that. What's fun too last year, we gave Dr. Joe Dispenza our big Lifetime Achievement Award. And this year we're giving it to the person who like created the industry for all of us, Dr. Jeff Bland. Like, if I can think of the most like humble, lovable, sweetheart of a guy, right? But his story, I just did this for our Health Business Growth podcast. Like, his story is insane of what he's done. So we are going to give that award to him. We have this big awards night where we give awards throughout the community for like up and coming, biggest health trusted authority of the year. So we do that. It's really fun and super emotional. And the funniest thing is we started doing it a couple of years ago because I bought this gown on eBay. I kid you not, I cannot make this stuff up. I bought this gown on eBay and I have nowhere to wear it, right? And I thought, you know what I'll do? I'll have an awards ceremony.
You're so funny.
And it got people got so involved in it. I'm like, holy smokes, this is now a thing. We have an awards ceremony. So super fun thing. Do you know Dr. Srini Pillai?
I feel bad. You're name dropping.
But it's so good that you don't,
so
because
funny, I've been stalking you for 15 years. So I knew you way before I had a chance to meet you a couple months ago, but but I don't know all the names. Go ahead. Who's
so Dr. Srini Pillai? I met him years ago in New York City. And then I'm a member of this group Jack Canfield founded called the Transformation Leadership Council. And he's in there too. And he did talk in there. He's a Harvard psychiatrist and neuroscientist. And he wrote this book, Tinker. I always get it wrong, but it's like how you dabble, doodle, create, and like why you need to do that. And he's going to launch us off because the whole theme this year is all the world to your stage, because there's no business like your business, and how you can show up and message and what you can do to like have this 10x impact on your business. So he's going to talk the neuroscience of all that to kick us off, which will be super cool.
Oh my
and
gosh.
Then have you been told about our costume parties?
I have not, but I've heard the event is absolutely amazing. Let me interrupt you for 1 second, just because I want to hold that thought. I just want to let you all know we put the link to the event here. And if you want to attend the event, please do use our links so that JJ knows that, maybe she'll come back in our group if we're getting a lot of people signing up from this group. So definitely use that link. And the event is actually in Scottsdale. It's the Mindshare Leadership Summit 2023, October 5th through 8th. At the JW Marriott Scottsdale Camelback Inn Resort and Spa. That sounds lovely. And you can get
the place the Marriotts go.
Now.
It's their favorite place to go, that place.
Oh, wow. Okay. Yeah. That says a lot.
It's pretty amazing.
And so you can get your early bird pricing ticket right now. And when does that end? It doesn't go on too long with the early.
No, that doesn't end for a bit. But what they do have is you have a special Jody code.
Ooh,
You give them
okay.
$500 off. There's a couple
Oh,
things.
wow.
Yeah, there's a couple things we put with this. So um, I really think that as you're going through the process, which you'll see in the multiple streams of income guide, where you really get clear on your transformation and your process, a book is kind of a natural way to build a brand. So we are actually doing an exactly how to workshop with Sam Horn and Liz Marshall and me in August. It's also recorded if you can't be there virtually, but we're also giving everyone that exactly how to launch or relaunch a book, which really takes you through the process. If you're thinking about a book, if you've got a book about to publish, if you published a book and it's kind of like limping along, what to do with that book. So we've got a workshop on that we're also including when you join the summit. You get to go to that event, and you also join the community. So those, like the event itself, that EHT is $495, the community is a $297 thing. So we're gifting those, and you have a $500 off coupon. And the event itself, and this is important, like it's a very expensive event to produce. It's over $1 million thing, because I wanted people to come in. I love doing events, but I know how we all are with our food, right? So I know we're a little high maintenance. So literally, if you're coming in and you're gluten-free, because I designed it first based on the Virgin diet, and then I had to throw in the sugar impact. It's like, so keto, vegan, paleo, like whatever you are, we got you covered there. And then we have dry farm wines on site too.
Oh, awesome.
So I know, like, all that stuff's taken care of. So you're fed, you're taken care of. You just got to get yourself there. That's your big thing. Get there. We got you coffeeed.
And
We
let me
do.
say this, JJ, I know when I first saw the price of the conference, I was like, oh, that's steep. But then you think about, if you can get 1 or 2 new patients or clients on a high end kind of thing, or get your book launched, or, you know, bring some kind of massive group program out there, it pays for itself in spades. And
Well, here's the
I'm a
thing.
huge believer in getting educated and getting
Yeah.
what you need to get your business thriving.
This is our 10th year, and we've had
Wow.
people who've come every single year. Our returning rate is over 50%. So if it weren't worth it, people wouldn't come. That is the biggest thing I know with this, is that if you come in, like, you'll walk out with at least 3 things that you can immediately apply in your business. You will meet people because of how we've organized this event, that even if you're that, I am the person that will freak out, run back to my room and hide. If you are that person, we already have you covered. You will meet people, you'll be blown away. That's why I put the costume party in, to be honest, was if you take an introvert and put them into a costume as an extrovert, you solve the problem. So I just go, all of a sudden you put people in the costumes and their alter egos out, and you're like, you're fine, And so you meet all sorts of people that way too.
Oh, that's fun.
But the value, again, because here's the thing I see with clinical conferences, is they're amazing. I love them. Like, I go to IFM, A4M, IHS, I love them, right? And then extra ones, and every single morning I'm studying research. However, that doesn't help me get it out into the world. And it doesn't, if you come out with learning how to do any one single thing, is going to more than pay for the ticket, which, by the way, is basically the cost of the event. I mean, the event itself is a fortune to put on. So, because we bring in great speakers, we have 12 different specialized training sessions too, because I want people to have what they need for them, and mentors on site to coach and help too. So it's actually like, if we charged for the event based on the ROI from the event, this would probably be a $50,000 or $100,000 event. I mean, I literally have people who've walked out building 7-figure businesses from the event.
Wow.
So Isabella Wentz launched her first ebook and all that stuff from the event. So I could go on and on and on about that. It's the, like, what's expensive? Spending your time, because I think the most expensive cost you have going to an event is not the cost of the event. It's your time.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And so, the most expensive events are the events that you cannot figure out, how do I take that and now put it into something so I can, monetize it. Right.
Absolutely. So JJ, we only have a few minutes left. So I was wondering if you could, first of all, turning a practice into a thriving business, any quick
Oh,
tips
yes.
that you could just give us? Because we want to know that. And then I think did you have another event coming up too? I want to hear about those two things.
So the event coming up is the exactly how to
Oh, that's
launch
the
your book,
book. Okay.
which you can pay for separately, but you'll get it as a bonus by doing this ticket.
Amazing. Amazing.
Which we've done 2 of these exactly how-tos this year. One was on how to do a high ticket offer. One was on how to do a highly successful summit.
Mhm.
And so, and actually you could choose and listen to one of those recordings and get that instead. So pick one.
Awesome.
But here is like the shift. And a lot of it's a mindset shift. Again, in the multiple streams of income guide, you'll see this. And it's really realizing, and I see this a lot when people are in practice and they're like, but I help everybody. And I go, I understand that. However, if you want to get really known out there, you got to focus first on that top problem you solve and the transformation really from it. And I mean, this was me going from, nutrition and fitness to nutrition and fitness for weight loss to nutrition and fitness for weight loss resistance, realizing no one knew what it was. 20 years later, okay, but not good then, to really doubling down on food intolerance. Back when no one was like leaky gut was clearly not a thing. I'm like, what? There's a test that shows it. People weren't talking about zonulin, nothing, right? That's what put me on the map. And this thing, if you can think about, and usually for all of us, it's right under our nose. Like when I went into Dr. Alan Christensen's office, because his wife was in a group with me, she goes, "You'll really love my husband." And I'm like, okay. And I walked in and I go, so what if you were going to focus on one thing, what would it be? And he goes, I love thyroid. When he changed and he had a practice in Scottsdale with other practitioners, and what they all did was they all doubled down in an area. Boom. And then he had a book on thyroid. Then he had a New York Times on thyroid. Then he looked at what's complementing that, adrenal. So, what is that first thing like if you had to just for the next 6 to 12 months focus on something? And of course, the irony is the minute that you do that, people come flooding to you from everywhere, because if you're an expert in one thing, they think you're an expert in everything, right? But it's what would you really double down and focus on? Because especially if you want to get known online, you're not going to stand out if someone types in health, wellness, hormones. You're not. So you got to be like,
hits,
right? I mean, hey, even 30, 40 years ago, before the online, when life seemed so much easier, I wasn't going to get known in weight loss against Jenny Craig and Weight Watchers, right? And even if I was doing the talks, which when someone said, how do I do this? What can I do offline? If I don't want to do social media, talking to people is going to be the most amazing thing, but they still do a general health talk trouble. I remember once, Jody, I was living in Fort Lauderdale and I had to build a business quickly. And so I did, I started to talk at the local yacht club. And so I did a talk on something around weight loss and standing room only, like crazy. Next one I did was how to lower your cardiovascular risk. Same actual talk, same talk. No one there, 3 people. I even served wine, no people. So, you really look at what's that thing that you love, that you talk about all the time, that people come to you for, and start there. And then what's that transformation? How would you package that into a program so you can basically offer it with results in advance so they can then know what they're getting into, which is so much better, honestly. Who wants to keep paying as they go? I want to know, okay, 3 months, I need at least 3 months here to get started. Let's package it. Let's give it a name. Like my food intolerance is breakthrough food intolerance, right? My program I'm building right now in honor of my 60th is built to last. How do you play full out at 100? And so everything is built on the transformation that you're offering. And yes, we can't guarantee results because they've got to participate, right? Must be present to win. But we can tell them what the possibility is, because we have to. That is our job, to paint that possibility and get them committed. I do not know how to help someone without getting them committed. So if the first thing you think about is what's the problem I solve, who do I solve it for, what's the transformation that they're coming to me for, because they are not coming to you for your IVs. They're not coming to you for the pellets. They're not coming to you for the adjustment. They're coming to you for the outcome that all of that does. They're coming to get out of pain. They're coming to not feel like they need to unzip themselves and step out of their skin because their hormones are so whacked. They're coming to you because they don't want to feel like they're dragging all day long and they have to live on caffeine, right? So if you even just today went, how do I start to look at the transformation that they're coming for and talk about that, and then have them commit to a program, time and money, so I can actually get them where they need to be because they've committed to it.
I love that. Focus on the outcome, the benefit to them, right? That's
Yes.
because otherwise it's never going to resonate.
One of my coaches early on said, you'll want to spend 90% on the outcome and 10% on the service delivery. Like, when I look at the outcome of coming to the Mindshare Leadership Summit, the outcome is you're going to walk out like going, whoa, big vision and 3 specific strategies I can put into place right now that likely, within the first month, I will make 5 to 6 figures from. And I have 10 people, like my phone a friend, that I can now do cool stuff to collaborate with. What is that worth? Like, honestly, right? That's why, again, I used to look at anything I was doing going, gosh, if you could just package it on the ROI,
That's huge. And so just to sum up, everybody, I want you all to download that free ebook. You can take the link. I don't know if Terry wants to share it again in the feed. And the event link is there. Using that link. So that link alone, there's no coupon. They can just use that link and an extra.
There is a coupon you have. You have a special Jody coupon.
Okay.
Let me find it.
Terry, can you post the Jody coupon?
And the Jody coupon is 500 Jody.
500 Jody.
500 Jody.
Okay, spell it with an I. 500 JODI.
You can use that coupon code for 2 tickets. Anyone related to Jody can use the coupon code. So you can use.
You don't have to be a blood relative.
You do not. Yeah, related. Yeah. If you're part of this, you get to use the coupon code. And then again, you'll get to choose when you register if you want that book one, the exactly how to. We started these workshops because I get so sick of going to events that, I go to a business marketing event and I learn all these things. And I was like, yeah, but I want to, like, this is what I want people walking out of the summit with, exactly how to do something. And they've got a plan, right? Like, so we now are doing these exactly how to workshops that they walk out with a very specific, you want to put on a summit? Here's exactly how to do it. You want to create a high ticket offer? Here's exactly how to do it. You want to launch a book or get the book that you put out there that's, kind of like lying there? Here's exactly how to do it. And that's, so you'll get to choose one of those things as well and jump into the community because we do trainings and stuff into the community as well.
Wonderful. Well, JJ, I can't thank you enough for coming on board. Coming into our groups. It was so thrilling to talk to you and get to know you a little bit, and really looking forward to the conference and the Mindshare Leadership Summit. Going to be wonderful.
And Jody, get your costume ready. Get
my costume ready. Oh boy, what am I going to? Is there a theme?
I always tell people that because they're like, do people really dress up? And I'm like, oh, they do. Game on. I can't believe like what I see. So the theme, the big overall theme this year is all the world's your stage, because there's no business like your business, and the theme for in our Shark Tank is called Grab the Brass Ring. And what I tell you is apply to be a future of health speaker. I didn't even talk about that. We do 5 minutes talk competition. The winner gets on the Mind Body Green podcast and gets a CBS spot. And apply for brass ring, apply to go in front of our ring masters. They're the nice sharks. And, nominate yourself for one of the awards. You want to just dive into the community and then get dressed for the costume party, which is circus theme this year.
Oh, circus theme. Okay.
I know. I so wanted to be a lion tamer and have Tim be a lion, and he so won't do it.
I could be your lion. I'm a Leo, so that could.
You could totally be a lion. You just need a lion tamer.
Yeah. So this sounds a blast, and in all seriousness, everybody who has gone to this event that I've spoken to has said it is phenomenal. So don't miss out. If you really want to stand out in your field and do this work on a massive scale, this is the conference to go to.
Or if you just want to stand out in your field and do this work and have a great business and life, you can do either.
In life, some free time. Both. Practicing what you preach and getting the time to yourself, seriously, because that's taking patient after patient after patient and doing things that way
Working harder is not the answer here.
a good recipe for burnout. So,
Yeah.
all right, JJ, thank you so
Okay.
much again. Take care.
Thank you.
All
See
right.
ya.
Bye, everybody.